we've got one great show ahead of you.
I love it when I can stump the chooch.
Oh, boy, that's a tough one, Frank.
And welcome to another exciting edition of the Great Lakes Smoke Show. Take it away, Ron.
Truly excited about what you will see today. 2 years ago when we were here, folks, we did a special and we ran around like madman to show you what's going on. We got 9 interviews set up, and that was amazing. Today, we are going to try to go for 30.
We're going to try anyway.
All right.
30 what?
We're set up a lot better. We got a lot of people going on, and
a lot of work.
We got to we mapped this out already big time. So we're going to give you everything we can here live from Las Vegas at the PCA show. And we're going to open up with 2 amazing men that have come together to basically join forces of pipe tobacco and
superheroes.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Geniuses.
What is that?
Geniuses.
What is that thing where they all put their hands together and they turn into one thing?
Right. I think we could do that.
Captain
Absolutely.
Planet?
Captain Planet's one.
giants.
The Power Rangers,
like
right?
Tron.
But we're like 3 colors short, so we got to work on that.
Well, anyway, let me introduce Steve Saka and Jeremy Reeves. How are you guys? And welcome. Thank you so much for having us on.
Oh, thank you.
We are extremely excited about this team up of you guys. Yep, here we go. Pull
Sorry
a little more.
that.
No, all good. All good. Make sure you're comfortable.
Nice.
This has been a piper's dream, honestly. And is the genius idea of Steve Saka putting this together, reaching out to
The
Jeremy.
dream maker, Steve Saka.
They are. It's just good stuff, guys. And we really just heard about this yesterday.
And you wonder why my head is so damn big, man. It's crazy.
No, I don't wonder.
Well, he knows. There's no question about it. He knows. We are extremely, extremely excited to hear this combination by you 2 guys. It's been, like I said, Pipe's dream. Bob and I have been smoking pipes. Him from the early 60s, and mine was the summer of 1973, to be exact.
Yeah.
And we always talked about it. Why can't something be done? There has been companies in the past who have tried to put this together.
Yeah, but it was on the cheap, you know.
See, but here's the thing. I don't think
This
you
is
told
different.
people what we're talking about. So you guys all know, but you didn't say what we're talking about.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second.
So
We're
like,
going to get
gotta
we're
build
offering
it up.
commentary on. We're talking about a duck right now, right?
Jeremy
got together. We figured out how to stuff a duck with
The
gold.
finest
Yeah,
duck.
yeah, it's going to be amazing. Everyone's going to get
with the
golden
finest
duck.
of ingredients.
Right.
Well, I'm going to shut up now, and we're going to move how this duck got into tobacco. Guys, Steve, we'll start with you since this was your genius idea.
No
Tell
pressure,
us.
though.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
pressure
no,
at all,
no.
Steve. Don't
And I
worry.
told him to say genius. That's the best
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And we love it. And we're going to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
All right. So, look, I've been a pipe smoker. Casually, seriously, seriously. I go through phases, but I've been doing it for well over 30 years. And look, the thing about pipes is there's a lot more interesting tobaccos to play with. There's a lot more tobaccos that have different flavors and aromas. It's a much broader experience. And then when you get into how they can be cased and how they can be topped and how they can be cavendished and how they can be stoved and you go on and on, there's so many different variations that as a smoker, if you're really into smoking, pipes is a wonderful playground. Now, the pipes themselves, good pipes are expensive, but pipe tobacco in itself is typically a much less expensive road to hoe. And but the problem with a pipe has always been that it requires some fiddling. It requires technique. You have to really worry about the moisture content of your tobacco. And it isn't like with a cigar where you get it to this level and it works all the time. It really depends on the tobacco. Some tobaccos smoke way better drier. Some smoke better wet. You kind of have to figure that out. And you have to figure out how to keep it lit and how to pack it. Because when you pack a pipe, the basic, halfway press, 3/4 press, full press again, it works, but it doesn't work for everything.
Everybody.
Yeah. So there's so many things to pipe smoking that I think a lot of people, they want to try it and they want to get into it, but they have such a sour first experiences where it's impossible for them to keep it lit. And it's also, they get a lot of tongue bite. So me being a cigar smoker first, I just started taking some of my favorite pipe tobaccos from, starting really around I think the first time I did this was like maybe 92-ish.
Oh, okay.
And just having them put some of my favorite blends in. And it was something that's always in the back of my head that I wanted to do. But the problem was, as much as I'm very familiar with cigar tobaccos and cigar manufacturing, and as much as I am a seasoned pipe smoker, I'm not an expert when it comes to pipe tobacco. And really, the project just kind of sat in the back of my head until a couple of years ago. I ran into the folks from Cornell Diehl, and it turned out Jeremy here is a fan of my cigars, and I'm a fan of his work in pipe tobacco, and we just hit it off. And I told them about this thing I did, and they were just all in on it. They're like, wow, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And I wanted, like you were saying before, it's not like I invented this. There are tons of pipe tobacco cigars in the marketplace, but they're almost all on the lesser quality leaf.
On the cheaper side, let's put it that way.
They're in they're in the value segment for the most part, tobacco-wise. And both cigar and pipe tobacco, both. And also, they all tend to be very aromatic, and they tend to be very sweet. And that's kind of the genre. But no one's ever said, hey, what if I work with Orientals? What if I work with Latakia? What if I work with Burley? What if I work with Stove Red Virginia? What if we use some of these classic traditional pipe tobaccos
and higher quality tobacco
and put them in? And so I turned to Jeremy, and he created 4 distinct blends that fit kind of some of the primary categories. We did do an aromatic that has a sweet tip on it. Okay, but it's a softer aromatic. It isn't quite as much as some of the other cigars that are on the market. It's a much more, everything across the board is a much more balanced, elegant, refined style of approach. And we have the 3 others. One is a navy blend,
which we're smoking right now, and this is another delicious smoke.
Delicious.
Right? Wow.
And then we did a Bayou blend, which is kind of a vapor style blend, and we created a classic English blend. And then it was my job to take those and then try to build a cigar around them. So there's 4 different, not just 4 different pipe tobaccos, but there's actually 4 different blends in the line, because I made the fillers in the cigars hopefully complement the pipe tobacco. I wanted it to be present. I wanted the smoker to feel it. I wanted them to recognize that it was different, but at the same time, I didn't want to beat them over the head with it, nor did I want to mask it so much that a person wouldn't be able to sense it. So it was a real delicate balancing act to try to get it right.
Yeah,
so,
I get exactly what you're saying, and you did get it right. Both of you guys created some incredible smokes, man.
Oh, thank you.
From what we had yesterday.
Yesterday we had the English, and today we have the Navy.
Aromatic. And
you had the aromatic, yeah. This is another fabulous stick. I mean, you guys are really hitting that out of the ballpark with these.
Well, the job is to not make sucky cigars. You do know that,
well, of
right?
course.
Unfortunately, there are some
but there are some, yes.
Which really puts this.
That is what we're actually supposed to do here. That is kind of the job description.
Well, this is a genius description of a cigar that is excellent, guys. Excellent. The blends. And Jeremy, tell us a little bit on your end on how you put this together. I mean, it's really just fabulous. I'm really speechless because I'm trying to take this whole in and listening to all of this.
Sure.
And I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. I mean, both of you. This is a fine example of cigars, and you are right. Your jobs are to make fine tasting tobacco cigars, and this absolutely is exquisite.
Well, appreciate it.
No kidding.
Well, you are a cigar smoker as well for many, many years.
Yeah, that was how I got into the whole premium tobacco thing. Actually, it was, I had kind of dabbled in smoking cigars. Had a buddy that worked at a cigar shop, and he kind of got me into it a little bit. And the more I smoked cigars, the more I thought, I could really see a lot of my money going into this. And so maybe I should make money selling these. So I got a job with him at the cigar shop, and within a year I was managing the store. This was in Chicago. I don't know if I mentioned that, but
He also worked in Chicago's oldest
I did.
brick and mortar store.
That was a little later on. So at the time that I was working at Blue Havana, I had a friend who was one of our pipe tobacco reps, and he gave me a pipe and turned me on to pipe tobacco, and in particular onto Perique and then Latakia, and I mean, it wasn't like, here, have this light aromatic tobacco. Like he really kind of started me off with like straight English tobaccos and things, and
which is interesting to start off with.
It's true.
Usually you graduate to that.
Go.
I actually really recommend to beginners that they start with Latakia blends, and actually higher quantity Latakia blends, because it's not very strong in nicotine, and because it's been fire cured for 5 to 6 months, it actually burns at a lower temperature.
Mm-hmm.
It's been par cooked so much that it is ready to take flame, and
less tongue bite too because of it.
You can puff on it, which is what a new pipe smoker often does.
Yep.
And they're not going to suffer from tongue bite. They're not going to suffer from trying to suss out the flavor. Latakia makes itself known
Instantly.
immediately. But yeah, it's not a very strong tobacco. It's a strong flavor, but it's not a strong nicotine punch. So actually, I think it was a good way for me to kind of get my technique down and kind of figure out what I was doing without just wrecking my tongue in the meantime. So I dabbled with pipe, and in that way, I think, we kind of walked a similar path, like cigar smokers primarily, and doing pipe tobacco, kind of experimenting and figuring it out. So
don't you think, though, with a lot of new smokers over pipe, where they really get into trouble is they always go to those classic aromatics that are at the drugstore.
The drugstore brands.
And the problem is they've got so much topping on them, and a lot of them add propylene glycol, so the tobacco retains it's retaining the moisture, but it's really so to retain the flavor because they don't want the flavor that they've added to it to evaporate off. So by adding the PG, it keeps the flavor in the tobacco, and those ultimately end up being some of the tobaccos that A, are the hardest to keep lit, and B, are the ones that are the most bitey. But that's also where most consumers end up starting.
That's right.
I know I did back in the mid 60s when I started pipe smoking.
So it really is one of the worst places
around
to start. It's very similar in our business. In our business, we get new smokers and they give them all, small cigars to start off with. Small cigars burn harder. They're more bitter. They're more sharp. I mean, if you're going to give someone new that hasn't smoked a cigar, it's much better to give them a Toro 6x52 and just smoke half of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a cooler. It's a more even burn. It's
absolutely,
but we don't. We push onto them cigars because of some preconceived notion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with women. If I was a woman cigar smoker, I would be insulted that I'm always being handed the flavored stuff as the first option.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that, hey, this is this and this is this and this and this, not to introduce, but kind of like, oh, well, you have to have this. I don't know. It just seems very kind of condescending to me.
I agree with you.
Totally agree.
No doubt.
Totally. Give them the good stuff. Let them let them feel the good stuff right away.
Yeah.
Because you're going to turn them off. Okay. All right. So you want to just talk about the new 4 lines here? And
Sure.
Folks, this is like exclusive here, man. This is all brand new stuff. So get a paper and pen, write these down, and get sure to order it.
Unfortunately, you can't order it till October, November. When
It's going to be when they're done, which will be October, November.
all right,
I mean,
We're
look,
waiting for further
samples-
updates from the Genius.
Yeah,
the genius.
the genius.
But I mean, even the cigars that I'm sharing here at the trade show, I mean, I muled them in from Nicaragua on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Oh, gosh.
So they're all a little fresher than I like. It's always a tough thing coming to Vegas like this. Everything is they need about another 2 months minimum just to get the burn really nice and even. And I noticed that probably on the aromatic, it burns a touch hotter than I would like. But that's something that, again, just a little bit extra cool room time is going to solve these problems.
But that's your
So-
expertise in wanting to put out the best product possible.
Well, it's not like I give this shit away. I charge. I mean, people pay for it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
if you're buying Dunbarton Tobacco Trust and you're buying a $12 to $20 cigar on average, you deserve a good cigar.
That's right.
Now, are they all flawless? Are they all perfect? Absolutely not. No matter what level of quality control, no matter what level of techniques and methodology and quality of leaf, in the end, it is a handmade product made out of an organic material, and not all tobaccos burn even. So sometimes, even if the cigar is flawlessly constructed, you'll get a leaf that'll just burn quick on you and it'll tunnel. You'll
Sure.
sometimes get a center core that won't burn and it'll cone on you. But the thing is that the exception to the rule? Is that the occasional? And just to kind of put it in perspective for the average listener, most factories, they pretty much kind of like 1 out of 10 is considered an acceptable failure rate. And in a really good high end, it's more like 1 out of 20. I can tell you, for me, my standards are typically like 2 out of 100, about 1 out of 50.
Wow.
You-
Okay.
But again, it goes in cycles. Sometimes you get a box that, for whatever reason, there's 4 cigars in it that aren't right. So it's one of
Which
these.
happens, I think, to everybody. I mean,
It
you buy a
does,
box,
happens.
you're always going to find 1 or 2 that's going to be like, what happened
I
here?
know, but we
You know?
try to make a much better product so you find far, far less of it.
Which is great.
You know,
Quality control is the whole thing. So tell us about the 4 different ones, and I know you guys going to get crazy here in a second.
Sure. So
Sell us.
Starting off with aromatic number 1, got air cured Burley and flue cured Virginia, some black Cavendish, and it's on the sweeter side of things, chocolatey notes and vanilla notes, but then blended with long filler cigar leaf that Steve put together that really kind of accentuates the additive, or rather the additive, pipe tobacco really accentuates the chocolatey and sweeter notes of the filler.
it's got a really pleasing room aroma.
It does.
It's a very classic kind of pipe smoking experience.
With the,
But it's kind of a tamer aromatic.
Mhm.
It isn't like a super cherry this or
No,
super,
No, not at all.
none of
It's
that.
not.
It's a much more subtle thing. It'll be interesting, and it's the only of the line that actually has a sweet tip on it, because the little bit of additional sweetness adds to those tobaccos, because inherently that is the kind of the smoking experience they deliver to you, is a sweeter style of smoking experience.
Mhm.
Nice.
And I think it's a great way of bridging that gap. As you said before, some people want to try the pipe and they just don't get it right. Well, here you can experience just that sensation as a pipe smoker we got
Right.
because of the blends, and no fuss. Just light it up and go with it,
And I think in the case of both of our companies, we're kind of hoping that, maybe this will make a cigar smoker say, hey, let me go and
Try the
some
pipe
pipe
once in a while.
tobacco.
Absolutely.
Let me try something, let me get into this, and vice versa. Then maybe there's some pipe guys that say, hey, you know what? I want to try that. Maybe they add cigars to their repertoire, because
I think most pipe smokers do smoke cigars, though.
I think that
Yeah.
but I think you are right. And I think most cigar smokers have tried to smoke pipe and have failed.
That could be. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's very common, because for most of us, we see pipe tobacco and pipes at the same places that we would buy cigars.
Mhm.
Now that's changed dramatically over the years, because the pipe representation in most brick and mortars has gone significantly down.
Absolutely.
But today there's a very strong online pipe community.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And a
It's
lot more
very-
kids, college kids, are actually jumping on the scene
Yeah.
right now too.
And again, it kind of goes back to the price point. You can buy really super top grade pipe tobaccos. You get a couple ounces for somewhere between $12 and $16, right, on average, for a really nice tin.
And you get a lot of bowls more than just
Yeah.
one cigar,
Right,
especially
you
a
can-
college kid who couldn't afford it.
Right, because you're using like 3 grams on average of pipe.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get quite a few smokes out of one of those tins, but it requires you to know how.
Absolutely. And again, talking about, that's why we're so excited to talk about this, because I think this is the new era of the joining the forces and getting that pipe tobacco out there in any form possible.
I mean, we belong to the Chicago Pipe Club. He's vice president. I'm a board member, and I can tell you, all of our members smoke cigars as well.
Mhm.
It's one of those things. You're sitting in a nice lounge, you light your pipe, you have your bowl. wait a few minutes, and you say, I think I want to get that cigar.
See, I'm really curious
You know?
how the hardcore pipe guy will approach it. You know what I mean? Because their opinion mattered to me when we were doing it, because I want, when they smoke the cigar, for them to be able to go, oh, yeah, that's a Navy blend.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So we have what? The three others, Jeremy. What's
Yep.
what's in, talk to them about what's in English number 27.
Sure. So English number 27 is the pipe tobacco is predominantly Latakia, with Burley and Oriental and Bright Virginia in much smaller quantities. Latakia, for those of you who don't know, is an Oriental type tobacco that has been fire cured for 5 to 6 months. It has kind of a Buddhist temple like frankincense and myrrh sort of aroma.
And smoky. That's
Yeah,
heavy
very
smoky,
campfire.
campfire. That's
Yep.
always the common
Yep.
denominator. But the quality of the Latakia is very high.
Mhm.
So as he said before, it's relatively smooth, because some of the lower price Latakias, they can almost be too campfire, too acrid, too
Mhm.
sharp. You know what I mean?
Or get kind of a rubbery, sort of like a
Yeah.
burnt rubber
Yeah,
flavor.
It always reminds me, you know how like you get a piece of meat and it's charred on the fat, and you really love how good that is.
Yeah.
But if you get it too far, it then becomes really bitter and biting and unpleasant.
Mhm.
That's kind of, for me, where kind of the line on Latakia is.
Right.
Some fit into that too much char, and others are a much more measured approach.
That's right.
Unfortunately, we can't get one particular style of Latakia anymore.
True.
So we've now gotten to the point where we cultivated the other one to an extremely high notch.
Right.
I think.
You're
In the
referring
beginning,
to-
it wasn't that good.
Right. You're referring to Syrian Latakia, which has gone the way of the
That's
buffalo.
it. I don't think we'll ever see it again.
What's the next one, Jeremy? I know the people building up here, so we're going to rush it.
Sure. So moving on to Bayou number 32.
I believe he's smoking that in the pipe right now.
He is
That is
smoking
what
that
I'm
in a pipe.
smoking now,
I
yeah.
smoked it yesterday morning in the Vitola. Beautiful. So this is a classic Virginia Perique pipe blend that, again, incorporated into a cigar. All of these are cigar first, and accentuated by the pipe tobacco additives. So Virginia Perique is basically taking leaf from eastern North Carolina that grown in sandy soil tends to have a higher natural sugar content. It's a sweeter, mellower kind of hay-like tobacco with moderate nicotine, and pairs it with Perique, which is a very, very robust air-cured style tobacco grown in St. James Parish Perique. It becomes Perique through a process of actually being pressed under about 55 tons of pressure in an ex-bourbon barrel over the course of a year. And it's a really labor-intensive process to make Perique. And every 3 months, you got to pull all of the tobacco out of the barrel. You've got to, open up the bundles that they roll it into. They call them carottes, and which is Cajun accent on the word carrot. And they open them all up so they can oxygenate, aerate for about 12 to 24 hours, and then pack it back in again and put the pressure back on. So every 3 months,
What a
you got to do
process.
that. It is really,
Very
really
time
brutally
consuming,
labor intensive.
yeah.
But the result is this fantastically fermented leaf. It goes from being, sort of a buff brown or tan to being nearly jet black. And crazy aromas, ranging from chocolate covered cherries all the way to fish sauce and soy sauce and mushroom and hot sauce, and really strange umami flavors that really pair nicely with the mellow, lightly sweet, hay toned notes of Virginia. So a little spicy, delicately sweet, not artificially sweet.
No.
It comes together beautifully in the cigar. I love the blend on its own in a pipe. I smoked all of these a lot in the pipe as I was developing them. And then the last one is Navy 1056. Navy number
This one right
1056 is that's what you guys are smoking
Yeah.
right now.
Delicious.
Very good.
And you're telling me it's not really cured yet, so we got to give it more time.
Not that. It's
And
just, it
looks
just needs
good
more
now.
time, because look, you have to add more. It's a very weird thing. We dry out the fillers in order to make the cigars. At the same time, we overwet the binders and the wrappers,
Mhm.
okay, so that we can actually apply them. So when you make a cigar, it's both too dry and too wet simultaneously.
Right.
And then what ends up happening is all that excess moisture that's on the outside, within about 3 days, it absorbs to the center of the cigar. So those materials we dried to make them workable in the hand, now they become soupy and wet. And you always need about 8 to 12 weeks in the cool rooms and esperates to just wick that moisture out that we had to incorporate in the tobacco to make it functional at the tables with the torsadors. And these cigars that you guys are smoking right now, they've only had about 6 weeks. So they're right on the cusp. So some of them are smoking beautifully.
Oh my God.
Others would benefit from another 4 weeks minimum. And
Once it hit
I
the
don't
market,
see any
you're gonna
problem
lay
with
it out.
this either.
yeah, but look at his. His is burning a little wonky. And the
Yeah.
aromatic is the one that I think is the worst is for currently. So
Well, I know I smoked the English yesterday, and I literally had it down to like this. I couldn't hold it anymore.
yeah.
It was delicious, smoked beautiful all the way down, no canoeing on. I mean, it was just perfect smoke. The draw, excellent. So I think you got winners, man. That's all I could say. I think
hopefully,
it's going to be really accepted well in both communities.
Absolutely.
we'll see what happens.
Guys, we thank you for putting out this product from a pipe guy too.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. I
thank
know
you.
you will be there. The Chicago Pipe Club
Yep.
show.
Yep.
He's
I
trying to talk
tell
me into
you,
it.
And I
Yeah,
think
well,
you
to
should
be
come.
there.
I think you.
I
Yeah.
think it would be a good idea.
Absolutely. The Chicago Pipe Show will be in 2022. folks.
Maybe I can be a guest in their booth. I don't know.
Yes. Well, why not?
Yeah, that way I get to sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Drink
And you
their-
can sit right
drink
next
their
to him.
coffee.
There you
He's
go.
usually on the last row by himself. He's got the whole crew going, and there's line after line after line. Right?
It is true. It is true.
Anyway, we want to thank you both.
Thank
we
you,
wish
guys.
you all
Thank
the
you guys
best.
very
Thanks
much.
for your time because I know
Much
you're busy.
success with these. I
Awesome.
think they will be.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Folks, make sure you look into this. Get ready for its release. It is all four magnificent.
Can't say
You
enough
will
good things
find
about this,
something for
man.
your palate. Right
We're
now,
not even paying these guys. Isn't this crazy?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
pay me with a
Who
cigar.
signed off on that check?
But we will talk later. Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it again.
guys.
Thank
Jeremy,
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
awesome. Stay tuned, folks.
We
We're
will
going to
see
do
you
a
soon,
quick
I'm sure.
breakdown, and within 5 minutes, we'll set you up and we're ready to go. We are doing a little traveling, so get ready. We're looking at Oliva coming on next, and a whole bunch of people. Stay tuned. See you shortly,
See
folks.
you in a few